science is the best tool ever devised for understanding how the world works.
Science is a very human form of knowledge. We are always at the brink of the node.
Science is a collaborative enterprise spanning the generations. We remember those who prepared the way, seeing for them also.
If you're scientifically literate, the world looks very different to you, and that understanding empowers you.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
We can do science, and with it, we can improve our lives.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
The story of humans is the story of ideas that shine light into dark corners.
Scientists love mysteries. They love not knowing.
I don't feel frightened by not knowing things. I think it's much more interesting.
There's a larger universal reality of which we are all a part.
The further we probe into the universe, the more remarkable are the discoveries we make.
The quest for the truth in and of itself is a story that's filled with insights.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
We can do science, and with it, we can improve our lives.
There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
The story of humans is the story of ideas that shine light into dark corners.
From our lonely point in the cosmos, we have, through the power of thought, been able to peer back to a brief moment after the beginning of the universe.
I think that science changes the way your mind works, to think a little more deeply about things.
Science replaces private prejudice with publicly verifiable evidence. There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality.
We can do science, and with it, we can improve our lives.
We're all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, to the rest of the universe atomically.
I think nature's imagination is so much greater than man's. He's never gonna let us relax.
We live in an in-between universe where things change alright, but according to patterns, rules, or as we call them, laws of nature.
I'm this guy standing on a planet. Really, I'm just a speck. Compared with a star, the planet is just another speck. To think about all of this, to think about the vast emptiness of space, billions and billions of stars, billions and billions of specks.
The beauty of a living thing is not the atoms that go into it, but the way those atoms are put together. The cosmos is also within us. We're made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself. Across the sea of space, the stars are others. We've traveled this way before, and there is much to be learned.
We're all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, to the rest of the universe atomically.
I find it elevating and exhilarating to discover that we live in a universe which permits the evolution of molecular machines as intricate and subtle as we.
I know that the molecules in my body are traceable to phenomena in the cosmos. That makes me want to grab people in the street and say, have you heard this?
The beauty of a living thing is not the atoms that go into it, but the way those atoms are put together.
Hey, who is it too loud? 1 second. Oh. Hey, first in real live stream? Yep. I'm gonna try to make this entertaining as long as I can. But what I'm gonna do is just review Stephen Hawking lives, read some articles about his discoveries, and about science, you know, like about astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology, that stuff. So I'm gonna start reading his life on Wikipedia. I don't know if I'm gonna do all. I don't know if you know, but he died yesterday night or like today. Hey, Hamburger, what's up? Welcome. Welcome everyone. So yeah, as if you don't know, I love science. It's my passion. Quasar, that name says a lot. Yeah, it's like I love. I have read a lot of books of him about Carl Sagan, Richard Dawkins, science in general. So please play this video. Okay, 1 second. Epic rap, let's go, baby. He was 76 years old.
My battle theory minds are relatively blown, so take a seat, Steve. Oh, I see you brought your own. What's with your voice? I can't frickin' tell. You sound like Barney having sex fit to speak and spell. I'll school you anywhere, MIT to Oxford. Or your fans will be like, that was Harvard. I'm as dope as 2 rappers, you better be scared, cause that means Albert E equals MC squared. You've got no idea what you're messing with here, boy. I got 12-inch rims on my chair, that's how I roll, y'all. You look like someone glued a mustache on a troll. I'll be stretching out the brine like gravity stretches time. When you try to put your little pea brain against this kind of mind. On the best, on the Snoop Dogg science, I'll be dropping mad apples on your head from the shoulders of giants. I'm a giant whose shoulders you'd have stood on if you could stand. I'll give you a brief history of pain with the back of my hand. You can't destroy matter or me, for serious. Ripping holes in you bigger than the hole in your black hole theory was. There are 10 million particles in the universe that we can observe. Your mama took the ugly ones and put them into one nerd.
Yeah, today is her birthday.
With the mushroom cloud you're making, I'm about to break right from scratch like Carl Sagan. And while it's true that my work is based on you, I'm a supercomputer, you're like a TI-82.
Nice. There are a lot of very cool battles on this channel. I have seen some. Yeah, I know. Rest in peace. I mean, he was 26, and when he was like, have you seen this movie, The Theory of Everything? He was the doctors gave him. Well, I'm not gonna read this. I guess they will mention it, but the doctors gave me like everyone with that condition lives like 2-3 years, and he lived like 55 years more. So, but yeah, first news today morning. So yeah, I saw it like yesterday night. So I still have to watch the movie. It's very good. It's very good movie. It's it's about his life. It's not very focused on science and his discoveries. It mentions, but of course, it's a movie to entertain. It's about his like relationship and his wife and his kids. About the struggle. That is what I admire more of him is like how he's always fighting and being positive, and his humor sense. Of course, his discoveries, his articles on science, and all he teaches about black holes, the Big Bang, everything is a prodigy. Yeah, I mean, you cannot say her XY abuse of him. Like, I don't know. So I'm gonna just try to read this, like the main things very fast. He was a physicist, cosmologist, Cambridge. His scientific work included a collaboration with Penrose on gravitational and singularity theorems in the framework of general relativity. That's why this Einstein fight kind of, I mean, it's not a fight, it's like, and the theoretical prediction, the black holes emit radiation. Should I like do? I guess this is better for the stream. Voila. Hawking was an honorary fellow of the Royal Society, a lifetime member of Pontifical Academy of Science. He was very famous. He has appeared in a lot of, you have seen in a lot of like movies, cartoons, TV shows. In 2002, Hawking was ranked number 25 business poll of the 100 greatest Britons. He was the Lucassian Professor of Maths in Cambridge. This is a very prestigious title. And as she comments to say, and another thing is his book, A Brief History of Time. If you haven't read it, please do it because it's very good. I have it here. I've read this like 2 or 3 times, and it's super good because it's the most sell science book of history. That's a lot. As you can see here, it says bestseller for 237 weeks. That's 5 years, almost 5 years. Bestseller. So. And it's science, so people don't read science too much, you know what I mean? People read like novels like fiction or romance or whatever they read, I don't know. Or fantasy, whatever. But what this guy made is bring science to everyone. It's like explain very complex terms, explain very complex, like you need to be like a fucking master at that to understand what's going on, you know? And he simplified that a bit to explain it to like everyone. So everyone can understand how beautiful, how amazing, how incredible the universe is. That's a lot. Because you are bringing everyone. To me, that's happiness. To me, that's understanding everything is very cool. So that's a very cool thing about this guy. It's not only he's like a very good scientist, but he's like a very good. It's like Carl Sagan. It's like a divulgation, like spreading the knowledge to everyone. You know, that's very important. How can I really processing of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis (ALC)? This you might have heard of this with this Ice Cube challenge thing. I don't know how they call it. They was helping these people with this challenge to raise money. Also known as motor neuron disease, a girl paralyzing over decades. Even after the loss of his speech, he was still able to communicate through a speech-generating device, initially through the use of a hand, and eventually to neural muscle. And let's see what's here. Family, he born in Oxford, mother, blah blah. I don't want to read everything, but cool. Anything important? he has a lot of influence about like religion in general, and he has been a lot on his books and on his like speeches, like public speeches. He has talked about God a lot and about like religion and stuff, so very important that matter too. He's not very, I mean, he's atheist and very critical, but he reasons behind it is very cool. I'm trying to make this stream very as organized and entertaining as possible. It's gonna be very hard because it's not like a video game I'm playing and it's more about I like. He graduated. Let me see if they say it here. And after being diagnosed, he fell into depression. I have here quotes by him. Let's read some quotes, then I will play some videos, and then I will keep reading like his covers and stuff. Some quotes, random quotes. 1. Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. 2. Never give up work. Work gives you meaning and purpose in life. It's empty without it. 3. If you're lucky enough to find love, remember it is there and don't throw it away. Life tips, boys. Second is, another quote is, we're just an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet of a very average star, but we can understand the universe that make us something very special. Hey Consejo, welcome. He also said, life would be tragic if it weren't funny. That's very true. Let me see. Play a video for example. What video do I have here? This is a random video. I mean, by the way, all the videos are made by Melody Ship. He's awesome. I want to give him some tribute too because I'm gonna use his material a lot. And incoming. This video is very cool. I have some videos that also include Stephen Hawking, but most of them are about the universe in general. This video is called Our Story in 1 Minute. Boom. This guy is awesome. Check his channel. Okay. What else do we have here? Let's keep reading his life a bit. No trolls have shown up yet, except for Newsweek. He's a mod, but whatever. That video is very cool. Like, that video makes me think, like, it's very sad to people to, like, okay, I'm atheist, and it's not like, I understand what people believe in religions, and of course it's very, since we're, like, born, like, a lot of, I'm gonna say indoctrination, because I have lived it myself. I'm the troll. And yeah, it's to me, when you discover all these things and you when you change your, like it says, when you mature, like reality is always better than anything we can write in a book or make fiction or imagine, like especially if those books were made 2,000 years ago, you know. So it's so beautiful to understand how, like, this, what happened in general, like what happened, who we are, why are we doing here, like, and the reality of that is amazing. It's like 100 times better than every book you can find, so especially the Bible. So to me it's very sad that people believe, like, when they, like, creationism or whatever, all those things, and they defend it because it's very hard to question yourself and to go against your beliefs, and you need to do it. You need to, like, why do you believe that? Did you believe it because you want to believe it, or do you believe it because someone else wants you to believe that? Okay, let's continue with that. Returned to Cambridge, and he started doing a lot of gravitational stuff. I don't want to read it all, but let's actually read this article. It's made by the BBC, and it's called "These are the discoveries that made Stephen Hawking famous." English, boys. The legendary physicist has helped explain the behavior of black holes and even examine the origin of the universe. And Stephen Hawking is probably, I'm gonna read this. I think everything. It's gonna be boring. I don't mind if you don't watch, so I just wanna do it. So. Stephen Hawking is probably the most famous genius of the modern age, but what exactly is he famous for, apart from his astonishing resilience to an incapacitated disease, an instantly recognized retro-robotic voice, blah blah. Didn't he discover black holes or the Big Bang, or tell us what time is it or something? No again. But it's hard to cut through the thickest of myth and get to the things that he really did discover. Hawking's own legends risk obscuring his real achievements. And my problem is all his books I have read and all, like, everything I have read about him is on Spanish. So some terms or some technicisms are hard and doesn't sound familiar to me in English because, like, I haven't read his books on English, so sorry. Today Hawkins delivered this year a lecture and appointment. Okay. Okay, let's do all this. Newton's view of gravity assumed that massive objects create a field that permeates space rather like the field of a magnet. This field enables one body with mass, like the Earth, to exert a force on another, like the Moon or an atom. Newton did not claim to know what this force was. It was simply a fact of nature that all objects that possess mass created. If you know the Newton's gravity law, mass 1, mass 2 divided by the distance squared. So Newton just said every object with mass attracts other things with mass too. So the more massive, the more mass the object has, the more gravity it has. But then Einstein came 300 years later and explained this better, or I don't want to say better. Yeah, it's, I don't know. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, gravity is not a field in space. Instead, it's a property of space itself. The idea is that massive bodies, such as the sun, cause space to curve around them. The distortion, this distortion of space is the motion of anything nearby. For instance, it shows the Earth in orbit around the sun, like a marble rolling around the ring of a ball. Like, imagine this is the sun, so the Earth is like in an infinite fall, but never falling. And 1 second. Will I put some music on the... Yeah. That's fine. Okay. And one of the predictions of Einstein theories is that a sufficiently large object such a really massive star can collapse under the pull of its own gravity in a runaway process. All the mass shrinks into an infinitesimally small point of infinite density called a singularity. This is very important. Remember this for later. This collapse creates a region of space so severely warped by gravity that not even light can escape from it. We call this a black hole. Now this is very familiar to us in 2018, but like when this was discussed, not even discovered, just the idea of it, like the very first idea of this concept, this was crazy. This was crazy, kind of. Like, there was a lot of discussions over decades about this, if this was possible or not. All this had been proposed in a paper on 1939 by the American physicist Oppenheimer, who will invent the atomic bomb. But many physicists could not believe in something as bizarre as a singularity, so for years the idea languished, as others assumed that some process will intervene to prevent it. As I said, many people didn't believe it, because at this time they couldn't even prove it. It was only around 1959, 20 years later, when Hawking began his undergraduate studies at the University of Oxford, that physicists started to take the idea seriously. It was examined closely by John Wheeler at Princeton University in New Jersey, who allegedly gave black holes their name. Roger Penrose in the UK and in the Soviet Union. Jacob. After completing his degree in physics, Hawking started a PhD at the University of Cambridge under the supervision of cosmologist Dennis Sciama. His attention was captured by a resonant instrument. It was only really at this point that Hawking's exceptional intellect began to shine through. He had just scrapped a first at Oxford and had a lot of mathematical catching up to do. He had also recently been diagnosed with a LC, which will ultimately paralyze. Under Sciama's guide, Hawking began to thinking about the Big Bang theory, the idea that the universe, this was like 50 years ago, only 50 years. It's like your father or son of you. Only, 60 years ago, let's say 60. It's like nothing. In time, it's nothing. I'm in 60 years from this to today, it's crazy. Like, all the same with the DNA. DNA was in like 53, I think. Like Craig Watson? I don't remember. Anyways, let's continue. The idea that the universe began as a tiny speck that subsequently expanded. Nowadays, this is widely accepted, but at the time, it was still up for debate. Hawking realized that the Big Bang was rather like the collapse of a black hole in reverse. What? He developed this idea with Penrose in 1970. The two of them published a paper showing that general relativity implies that the universe must have begun as a singularity. By this time, Hawking's disability was severe, and even walking with crutches was very difficult for him. In late 1970, as he was getting labors in everywhere, this is shown in the movie, by the way. As he was getting laboriously into bed one night, he has a sudden realization about black holes. Science! Hey, Toasty, what's up? One that will spark a series of discoveries about how they behave. Ooh, like some eureka moment. Okay, let's make a break pause here. Let's read some more quotes about him. 1 second, sorry, my cat went. More quotes. He said, intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Let's analyze this quote. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. In some terms, it's very true. Like, you can take this as, for example, as a personal, as like a person. Like, if you're intelligent, if something happens in your life, you can, like, if you don't know how to adapt to it, like someone dies, you lose a job, whatever happens, and love. If you don't know how to adapt to it, or you don't know how to, to adapt to that, you must know. Let's say. Or you can also apply in each species, like natural selection, let's say. Intelligence, like humankind or a species, is intelligent if they know how to adapt to change. For example, are we intelligent if we know we're, for example, destroying the planet, or we're gonna become extinguished by ourselves, and we're still doing it? Is that intelligence? Is that species intelligent if they can survive their own extinction? Let's say. I don't know. It's a very short quote, but very deep. Okay, another sentence. For millions of years, mankind lived just like the animals. Then something happened which unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to talk, and we learn to listen. The origin of language is very interesting. I don't know if you have read about it, but it's like how do you call this? How we can like produce sounds in different ways that most animals cannot, and from that making like a language, like from the very scrap to something very complex as a language. Very cool. And how to interpret different sounds, and communication is super important for like how our species develop and how we became what we are. Cats didn't survive because they are stronger, but because they adapted to us. And yeah, cats, I mean, wild cats, that is the same with dogs and wolves. It's like, should I fight this monkey, or should I become his friend? He feeds me, he protects me, I protect him too, kind of. And I'm gonna be domestic, I'm gonna be good. It's interesting here. Domestic animals. We did with domestic thing, or did they become that to give them free survival? It's like they survive for free. They're just at your home, and you can give them food, and they reproduce. Come on. That's why I don't like castrating them. Whatever. That's another topic. Okay, let's continue. Speech has allowed the communication of ideas, enabling humans to work together to build the impossible. Mankind's greatest achievements have come about by talking, and its greatest failures by not talking. It doesn't have to be like this. Our greatest hopes could become reality in the future. With the technology at our disposal, the possibilities are unbound. All we need to do is make sure we keep talking. Holy shit, this is very cool. This is what NA, North America, or let's say USA, has to do with other countries. This is why the Organization of United Nations exists. ONU. This is why many NGOs exist, to like communicate and resolve conflicts of different countries or wherever by talking, by agreement, by, because when does not happen, there is wars, there is death, there is tragedy, there is drama, there is families, loss, and all that stuff. You know. So communication. Trump, please shut the fuck up. I'm joking. Okay, last quote after the next video. I want to mix videos, quotes, and articles. It surprised me how disinterested we are today about things like physics, space, the universe, and philosophy of our existence. Our purpose, our final destination. It's a crazy world out there. Be curious. This is a very cool quote. I think about this a lot of time when I'm, for example, like walking on the street at night, or like just taking a walk, you know, like going out. Like, for example, I'm on my city, and most of the cities I have been, and I love watching stars. I just love, for example, I was on the Caribbean, and there was no city lights, no human lights, or whatever you call it. So there was no lights pollution or lights contamination there. So you could see the bright sky, and you could see like thousands of stars. And I just sit down on the grass and look at them, and I love doing that. I don't know. It makes you think, it makes you realize, it makes you relax, talk with other people that are doing the same next to you. And on the city where I live, or here, you don't do that. And most people on cities cannot do that, because at night you cannot see the stars. You can see sun. And that's very sad, because most of humankind's story, they could see the stars always. And that's why all these Arabs, Chinese, Asians in general, Europeans, Greeks, Romans, all these American civilizations, all civilizations in humankind's story, they had a lot of astronomical knowledge, because they could see the stars always. And without even telescopes, just by naked eye, they could make predictions, or they could see Venus, Mars, Mercury. They know about these planets with naked eye, because they see bright points, or like stars moving. That's what planet means on Greek. Errant star. And to me, that's awesome. And nowadays that we know a lot about the universe and about everything, this is very sad. We cannot see anymore the stars because of the lights. So yeah, I miss doing that. And to do that, you need to like walk outside the city like kilometers or miles, or any watchers, and then you can see them. But it's last quote. My expectations were reduced to 0 when I was 21. Everything since then has been a bonus. Damn. Like, imagine you're 21 years old and the doctor tells you you're gonna die, like, next year or in 2 years. Like, holy shit. And even that, this guy keep fighting and made a family, all these discoveries just by, and being even fun about that. Yeah, his personality was great. One more video. Let's see what do I have here. This video. I mean, this is like a song, but whatever. Boom, boom. Oh shit. Here.
For thousands of years, people have wondered about the universe. Did it stretch out forever, or was there a limit? From the Big Bang to black holes, from dark matter to a possible big crunch, our image of the universe today is full of strange sounding ideas.
How lucky we are to live in this time, the first moment in human history when we are, in fact, visiting other worlds.
A still more glorious dawn awaits, not a sunrise, but a galaxy rise. A morning filled with 400 billion suns. The rising of the Milky Way. A still more glorious dawn awaits, not a sunrise, but a galaxy rise. A morning filled with 400 billion suns. The rising of the Milky Way.
Nice.
The surface of the Earth is the shore.
I mean, they didn't appear so much, right?
Recently, we've waded a little way up, and the water seems inviting.
If you haven't watched Cosmos, do it! Yes, do it! Amazing. And this video is about the Hubble telescope. It's related to cosmology, so it's not specifically about Stephen Hawking, but it's related. So
the Hubble Space Telescope has given us a view of our place in the universe that's unparalleled.
Is that
We built a machine that could take us on a tour of the universe.
We're on the most incredible journey, and it all began with Hubble.
To see so much deeper into space. To push the frontier of what can be known.
Hubble reveals a breathtaking perspective on the true size of the cosmos. Newly discovered galaxies, thousands of them. But this is just the beginning. Exploding stars, spectacular galaxies, keep on coming. Our deepest, most profound view of the cosmos.
You can see the great beauty. Wow. Flying through space, so far away.
The dimmest detail from the farthest reaches of space. Humanity's new window on the universe.
These are images that will be remembered and in some sense even revered.
Hubble points once more to discover what else lurks in the dark. Exploding stars, spectacular galaxies, keep on coming.
Is my mic making sound? Like, I'm not talking now.
Of the cosmos.
OBS says it's making sound. Sorry.
Are due to the scientists and engineers who helped to turn humanity's dream of a space telescope into a reality.
Nice. This video is very cool. It was 3 years ago, the 25th anniversary. And sorry, and this video is made by Melody Shape too. Next year, they're gonna launch another telescope. How is it called? Edward? I don't remember the name. One second, let me look it up very quick. And let me look it up. Telescope 2019. James Webb, yeah. And this telescope is gonna be like 4 times bigger, like the mirrors it used to catch the images. I think it's gonna be 4 times bigger than the Hubble. So to me that's the thing I'm expecting the most next year to see, because if Hubble is 25 years old and it can show us all these things it shows us. Imagine having a 4 times more strong, let's say strong, telescope out there. I'm very curious about what it's gonna show to us. It's gonna be super cool. We'll see next year or in like 2 years. Very cool images. I bet we're gonna make a lot of discoveries about even deeper images of farther objects of the universe. That's gonna be great. Then I guess, can I get a copyright on a stream and like they can censor the stream or shut down the channel or whatever? I don't know. I'm showing this YouTube. Or like, I guess for looking at the Wikipedia or the articles, you see it's fine, right? Yeah, let's keep reading this article a bit, and then we go back to some quotes and more videos. If you have any video or any song or any article or anything you want to say or link on the chat, you're free to do it, by the way. The video that Hamburger shared before was very fun. And a black hole mass, in turn, determines the size measured as the rays of the event horizon, point beyond which nothing can escape. This boundary will creep inexorably outwards like the skin of an inflating balloon. I feel like I'm like killing English. I have to read very fast and I'm not very good at English, so I'm just breaking all the words. However, Hawking went farther. He showed that a black hole can never be split into smaller ones, even say through the collision of 2 black holes. By the way, if you haven't heard about the gravitational waves discovered last year, I think, or 2 years ago, when we could measure the gravitational waves, that discovery is amazing. It's one, I would say, it's the hardest. How can I put this? It's the hardest discovery made by humankind. What do I mean by that? It's like the most advanced technology experiment or instruments we have used to discover something in general. If you want to read about gravitational waves, it's sick, because a scientist could measure the collision of two black holes like millions of light years away. I don't know about millions, I think it's but just the fluctuation of a laser. Hey, Lucy, have all my bits.
My bits. Thanks for doing this stream. RIP. Have to go sadly, shift is ending, but probably gonna watch rest from the archive.
Okay, thank you, Lucy.
Bye.
And you have to tell us about your... I'm joking. About your meeting yesterday. And see you later, man. If you're streaming, I'll see you there. Thank you very much. But yeah, about gravitational waves. And... you know, it's very cool. That's all I want to say. If you want to know more about it, just read it. And then Hawking made another intuitive leap. He argued that the event horizon's ever-expanding surface area was analogous to another quantity that, according to physics, could only grow. That quantity was entropy, which measures the amount of disorders in a system. Atoms stacked together regularly in a crystal have a low entropy, while atoms drifting around randomly in a gas have high entropy. I mean, guess entropy is, you know what entropy is, so yes. It's very easy to understand at first, but it's very complex when you talk about these massive objects, like this, like how big the Earth is, compare how big the sun is, and then someone says a black hole is 1,000 times bigger than the sun. Like, to us, that's very hard to imagine in our head. Super big. And when you talk about this massive black hole, and you are talking about the atoms in it, according to the second law of thermodynamics, the total entropy of beneath can only increase, never decrease. In other words, the universe inevitably gets more disordered as it gets older. Hawking pointed out that these two rules of nature, the increasing surface of area of a black hole and the increasing entropy of it, were only similar. When Hawking announced his result at the end of 1970, a young physicist named Jacob Beckstein made a bold proposal. What if this wasn't just an analogy? Beckstein suggests that the surface area of a black hole event horizon might be a measure of the black hole's entropy. Oh. If you... okay. I want to make comments, but that's in grow. If an object has entropy, it must also have a temperature. And if it has temperature, then it must radiate energy. This is super important. Super important later. And this is why it's gonna be later the Hawking radiation. I think. I hope so. I hope I'm not wrong. Yet the whole point of a black hole is that nothing gets out. This is super important because most people think a black hole, nothing can escape, even light, blah blah, all these things. But black holes radiates energy. For this reason, most physicists, including Hawking, thought. By the way, Hawking made this in 1970s, and like in 30 years later, in the 2000s or something, he admitted he was wrong. That's what science is. Making a hypothesis or a theory or whatever, and if you experiment with it, or like in these terms, it's like theoretical proof, mathematical proof, and you admit you're wrong. There is no ego. For this reason, even Bernstein said that the black hole apparent temperature could not be real since this leads to a paradox. But when Hawking set out to prove Bernstein wrong, he found that the giant student was, as he later admitted, basically correct. In order to show this, he had to bring together two areas of physics that nobody else had managed to unify: general relativity and quantum theory. That's why he wanted to make the theory of everything, like explaining all the laws of science, all explaining the universe, how the universe behaves in one unique theory or one unique equation. This is where the theory of everything. Because nowadays there are like 4 or 5 forces in nature, but you can only explain them like gravity and nuclear, strong nuclear, and I only know the name. What's the other one? Whatever. They want to, like, the dream of science is like to unify all that knowledge in like one explanation. But that's very hard because general relativity, how big objects work, planets, galaxies, black holes, like massive objects, and behave, is very, 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 very different. The opposite of quantum theory about the atoms, the quarks. So try to unify that. Quantum theory is used to describe as invisible small things like atoms, all this way. While general relativity is used to describe matter on the cosmic scale of stars and galaxies. And the two theories seem fundamentally incompatible. General relativity assumes that space is smooth and continuous like a ship, whereas quantum theory insists that the world and everything is training at the smallest scales, parceled into discrete lumps. Physicists have struggled for decades to unify the two theories, which might be the point of a theory of everything. Okay. Such a theory is, to use an apt cliché, a holy grail of modern physics. In this early career, Hawking expressed a yearning for such theory, but his analysis of black holes does not pretend to offer one. Instead, his quantum analysis of black holes used a sort of patchwork of the two existing theories. Let's do unquote. Yeah. What else? In the universe, it might be that primitive life is very common and intelligent life is very rare. Some will say it has yet to occur on Earth. This is like when who said I think it was Gandhi. They asked him, what do you think about Occidental civilization? And I think he answered like, where is that, or did that happen? So this is kind of the same thought. It's like, has intelligence happened? We call us intelligence. We're very proud of ourselves. I don't know. Maybe other very advanced another species in the universe, they are really intelligent or whatever, and if they could see us, they'll be like, these are targets. Is it saying have you seen this video of I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna look for it. And this one?
If you look at our closest genetic relative to human beings, it would be the chimpanzee. We share like 98+% identical DNA. We are smarter than a chimpanzee. So let's invent a measure of intelligence that make humans unique. Let's say Intelligence is your ability to like compose poetry, symphonies, do art, math, and science, let's say, okay? Let's make that as the arbitrary definition of intelligence for the moment.
Wisdom.
Chimps can't do any of that. Yet we share 98, 99% identical DNA, okay? The most brilliant chimp there ever was maybe can do a little bit of sign language. Well, our toddlers can do that. Toddlers. So, here's what concerns me deeply. Deeply. Everything that we are that distinguishes us from chimps emerges from that 1% difference in DNA. It has to, because that's the difference. The Hubble telescope, these that's in that 1%. Maybe everything that we are that is not the chimp is not as smart compared to the chimp as we tell ourselves it is. Maybe the difference between constructing and launching a Hubble telescope and a chimp combining 2 finger motions as sign language, maybe that difference is not all that great. We tell ourselves it is, just the same way we label our books optical illusions. We tell ourselves it's a lot. Maybe it's almost nothing. How would we decide that? Imagine another life form that's 1% different from us in the direction that we are different from the chimp. Think about that. We got 1% difference and we're building the Hubble telescope. Go another 1%. What are we to they? We would be drooling, blithering idiots in their presence. That's what we would be. They would take Stephen Hawking and roll him in front of their primate researchers and say, well, this one is like the most brilliant among them because he can do sort of astrophysics in his head. Oh, isn't that cute? Little Johnny can do that too. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, in fact, Johnny just did that. Let me get it. It's on the refrigerator door. Here he is. He did it in his elementary school class. Think about how smart they would be. Quantum mechanics would be intuitive to their toddlers.
And this is a scene on the Theory of Everything movie. It's very cool. I want to show it. I don't think... The sound of this one is very low, so I hope it...
Professor Hawking, you have said you do not believe in God. Do you have a philosophy of life?
Spoiler alert!
You have said you do not believe in God. Do you have a philosophy of life that helps you?
it is clear that we are just an advanced breed of primates on a minor planet, orbiting around a very average star in the outer suburb of one among 100 billion galaxies. But ever since the dawn of civilization, people have craved for an understanding of the underlying order of the world. There ought to be something very special about the boundary conditions of the universe. And what can be more special than that there is no boundary? And there should be no boundary to human endeavor. We are all different. However bad life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. While there is life, there is hope.
This actor won the Oscar Best Actor for this movie. Sick. Next, keep reading this article. Will I make it like once? Yeah, this I should have some kind of overlay, but imagination. How will be humanity without it? Imagination. I think, for example, not always, but a lot of times before making a discovery of a real fact or real thing, people, I mean, you're not always right because people imagine different things, like it will be like this or it will be like that, but yeah, without imagination, sometimes we will have not find the correct answer, or without imagination, we could have not imagined how it will be to experiment that way to discover it in reality. Instead, say the most important thing is to don't stop making questions. Kind of similar thought. Okay. According to quantum theory, legally, empty space is in fact far from a void because space cannot be smoothly isolated. Okay, let's read this. I hope you guys are patient with this. Pairs of particles are constantly fusing spontaneously into existence. One made of matter and one antimatter. One of the particles has positive energy and the other negative. For example, you have an electron, matter, you have a positron that is antimatter. That's proof. There is the antimatter has been discovered, and there is laboratories where they isolate the antimatter so it's not destroyed by matter. But if they collide, they both destroyed, and it generates, like, from only two atoms of matter and antimatter colliding, it generates a lot of energy. So imagine tons of matter and antimatter colliding, it could create the Big Bang of our universe. And that is proof that antimatter exists, and they could isolate the antimatter like a labs. So overall, no new energy is being created. The two then annihilate one another so quickly that they cannot be directly detected. As a result, they are called virtual particles. This is what how do you call it? Acceleration particles thing in research about. The problem with me is I know all this on Spanish, but I don't know in English, so I try to like translate it very fast on my head. But of course, sometimes I miss. Hawking suggested that these pairs of particles could be upgraded from virtual to real, but only if they are created right next to a black hole. Didn't know this. There is a chance that one of the pair will be sucked inside the event horizon, leaving his parent stranded. Ooh. This severe, okay, I remember this. This severe twin may then shoot out in space. If the negative energy particle is absorbed by the black hole, the total energy of the black hole decreases, and therefore so does its mass. The other particle then carries away positive energy. So when you have matter and antimatter, they don't collide if they're on the horizon of the black hole, because one of them is absorbed by the black hole and the other one is shot away. So that's maybe how the universe was created. That's how matter exists and antimatter doesn't exist anymore. That's all. That's where all the matter comes from. Because usually they should be annihilate each other, but if it happens on the horizon, they don't annihilate. Matter exists. Because if you have the same amount of matter and antimatter, nothing will exist. So the end result is that the black hole radiates energy, now known as Hawking radiation. I saw this. I mentioned this before. While gradually getting smaller. In other words, Hawking had proved himself wrong. Black holes can get smaller after all. This is tantamount to saying that the black hole will slowly evaporate, and that is not truly black at all. What's more, the shrink age will not necessarily be real and sedate. This seems very complex to us. In 1971, Hawking conceived a radical new vision of black holes. During the Big Bang, he suggested some lumps of matter could have collapsed into miniature black holes. Each lump will weigh billions of tons, which sounds a lot, but is far smaller than the Earth. And the resulting black hole will be smaller than an atom. Because a black hole temperature increases as its event horizon surface gets smaller. Like, imagine you have this amount of mass. If you compress all that mass in a smaller space, the particles are moving faster because they have less space where to move, and that's what temperature is. How fast a particle is moving. If you have, for example, 0 degrees, let's say Celsius degrees, particles are moving at a certain rate, and if you have like how do you call this? Absolute zero, it means that particles are not moving at all. That's like a minus 273.5. So it's fucking cold. Yeah, if you reach that temperature, the particles means they're not moving. They're like up. They're like freeze. And this is a cool fact. The hottest temperature on the universe have been reached on Earth, on the laboratory, and the coolest temperature on Earth has been reached on science. And we're talking about really fucking cold and really fucking hot, like millions of degrees. Anyways, let's continue. Disappear or transform into another type of particle? About what? What do you mean by that? Like when matter and antimatter collide, or what? Like, ¿en cuanto a qué? Let's continue. Black holes this tiny will be hot. Hawking described them as white hot. They will fizz with Hawking radiation shedding mass, and they will not go quietly. A mini black hole will get hotter as it gets smaller, until eventually will explode with the energy of 1,000,001 megatron hydrogen bombs. Holy fucking shit. Million hydrogen billion. Hawking outlined his theory of Hawking radiation and exploring primarily mini black holes in a paper on Nature in 1974. It was a shocking, controversial idea, yet nowadays most physicists believe that Hawking radiation really will be generated by black holes. So far nobody has managed to detect this radiation. That's not surprising though. An ordinary black hole's temperature will barely be above absolute zero, that's what I was told. So the energy it emits as Hawking radiation will be extremely tiny. 7 years later, Hawking announced another disturbing implication of disappearing black holes. They destroy information. Okay, this is very... Let me see. Yeah, but when the black hole is getting smaller, it means some particles are being radiated. So there is no creation or destruction. It's like, I don't know how to explain it with a metaphor. It's like the amount of particles, the amount of particles at the end is the same. Like some are being radiated and the rest are being compressed until the black hole is smaller, and it's so small that it disappears. But it's disappearing because the rest of the radiation is getting away. It's not the atoms are getting disappear from universe. The black hole is getting smaller. No. Okay, but this is very important. Okay. I hope this explains it very well, because when I read the book, it was very hard to understand at first. Like the destruction of information. When particles or light rays pass inside a black hole event horizon, they never return to the rest of the universe. Each entity can be considered to carry information. For example, information about a particle mass and position. This information is also locked away inside the black hole. This is also very important. This is what, for example, the whole... Have you watched the movie Interstellar, where they need the information inside the black hole to solve this equation? But the problem is, when something gets inside, you cannot look at it anymore. It's lost. The information about a particle mass, a particle spin, all the when you're on a lab and the scientists are measuring, for example, an atom or whatever, they can measure how heavy is the atom, the spin it has, how many neutrons, how many whatever. But this information is lost. Not lost, locked. Wait. However, what happens is that information in the black hole evaporates. There are two possibilities. Either it's somehow encoded in the Hawking radiation emitted by the black hole, or it's gone for good. Hawking claimed that it's vanished. So all the atoms that get inside and then get radiated away, you lose the information they had before. Blame the conservation of relativity rays on my... I know. Thermodynamics. When Hawking spoke in San Francisco in 1981 about the paradox of vanishing information in black hole physics, the American physicist Leonard Susskind disagreed. He was one of the few who appreciated just how disturbing it would be if information were lost from the universe. We like to think that causes come before their effects, not the other way around. In principle, although generally not in practice, that means we could trace and reconstruct the story of any particle in the universe based on information about this car. So this is about you can analyze something that is happening now, knowing the laws of how it behaves, and based it on that, Okay, let's do it with Newton, but it doesn't work the same. It's easier to understand and it's simple. So when on Newton class, you could say this ball is moving at 9 meters per second and it's on this position right now. X position is 0. So you could go farther in time and back in time, predicting where it's gonna be and what it was. Like the movement, let's say movement. Make it very simple. So applying some laws or equations, you could say, okay, in 10 seconds the ball is gonna be here, and 10 seconds ago the ball was here, and predict where it was. But this means, and applying this to particles or to atoms, you could say, okay, the atom was here. So for example, radiation from the sun. You can say this radiation from the sun is here now, so it left sun 8 minutes ago, and it was at this temperature, this mass, blah blah blah. But this means, Hawking said this, it means the information was lost. So when you analyze a radiation from the black hole, you cannot tell, and you don't have information about it. So you cannot trace and reconstruct the history of a particle, right? Or knowledge. But that reconstruction for effects to cause will become impossible if information is being destroyed in black hole. Information is still being lost, the whole notion of cause and effect starts to look shaky. So when Hawking suggested that black holes destroy information, Susskind argued that he was playing wrong. The debate raged in a fairly collegiate manner for decades. In 1997, it took on the form of a war, something Hawking loves to indulge. Hawking bet John Preskill of the California Institute of Technology an encyclopedia that information was indeed lost in black holes, while Preskill bet that was not. At a conference in Dublin in 2004, Hawking finally conceded that Susskind was right, that Preskill should get his encyclopedia, but in typically stubborn fashion, qualified the statement by claiming that the information was only returned to the universe in a corrupt form that was virtually impossible to read, and that he had proved that this was so. Okay, Canseco, I think you can do this better than. Can you translate this in informatics? For example, translating this in informatics, for example, you have bits of information like 10001001. Let's imagine that's a particle. That's a hydrogen atom. Okay. Let's say 1010. Right? Let's say a black hole is like a hard drive or big storage information or something. But when you put there that 1010, it becomes 1001, or I don't know, you cannot even read that information. So translate to informatics, I think that this is what it means. Like when you try to read the information of the particle, it's corrupted. Corrupted from this weird and impossible to read. Like the information it carried before entering the black hole. Makes sense. But one thing is thinking and saying, and the other thing is proving it. They had no proofs of it. Hawking, you can do that hitting. Yeah, I want to listen to one song. Still time, guys. This string is. Well, I'm gonna actually play this with the video clip. Melody Ship.
Man is a singular creature. He has a set of gifts which make him unique among the animals, so that, unlike them, he is not a figure in the landscape. He is the shape of the landscape.
We are all children of Africa. Children of Africa. They say this is where it all began. This is where it all began.
In a parched African landscape, man first put his foot to the ground, to the ground, to the ground, to the ground.
Africa was our only home for tens of thousands of years, until a small handful of people made their way out of Africa.
These beings with soaring imagination eventually flung themselves and their machines into interplanetary space. These beings with soaring imagination eventually flung themselves and their machines into interplanetary space.
We are all children of Africa. Children of Africa. This landscape has been home to humans 200,000 years.
We have come so far. All of this is cause for great celebration. We've come so far. This is a story about us.
Those early Europeans were people like you and me. But it is humbling when you see the challenges they faced. People like you and me overcame the Neanderthals. People like you and me made it through the Ice Age.
These beings with soaring imagination eventually flung themselves and their machines into interplanetary space.
Hello, this is more like anthropologist, but it still, I mean, all knowledge is don't discriminate different fields of. What else will we do? I guess we have to finish this article, right? We're very close to the end, so let's try to finish. No joke, correct comes access calculator. Come on! But you cannot, like, I mean, I guess it's an analogy, but you corrupt the data, like, cannot know anymore. I was before, so. Hawking spelled out his argument in a short paper the following year. It did not convince everyone that his argument was better than Saskin. Episode was characteristic of Hawking's style. He is bold and brilliant, but not always rigorous enough to fully persuade, and sometimes simply driven by intuition that can turn out to be wrong. That's not bad. Sometimes, intuition is not a way of knowledge, but it can drag you there. For example, Einstein was great at how do you call it? Like mind experiments. Like he was like he wasn't proving it by like looking at the space and looking at it, but he was like thinking on his head how the light worked, how the relativity, general relativity worked, and then like how did you say before, imagination. We will win nothing without imagination. He was imagining that or thinking about that, and then he proved it. That's when he bet against experimental detections of the highest particle. So, and the higher particle was detected on 2000. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, no one is perfect and no one is always right. Made some mistakes, but at least he admitted them. Some scientists was like, no, I'm right. The melange of relativity, quantum theory, thermodynamics, and information theory in Hawking's work on black holes is innovative and remarkable. Nothing else he has done is equaled it. The 1980s tried to describe the Big Bang in quantum mechanical terms. Working with James Hartle, he developed a simple quantum equation that supposedly describes the entire universe in its early stages, but it does so in such general terms that for many physicists it doesn't say anything very meaningful. The one thing the equation does suggest, however, is that it is futile to ask about the ultimate origin of the universe. Just make a backup and then restore supercomputer. I don't think there's a supercomputer black hole. Backup the data and learn from them. When the universe was still extremely tiny, less than a billionth of a yoctometer across, quantum theory implies that the distinction between space and time was extremely fuzzy. That means the early universe did not have meaningful boundaries in time or space, even though it was still self-contained. The very concept of an origin in time vanishes into the quantum. This is the model explaining Hoskin's best-selling A Brief History of Time, which secured his status as global celebrity. The idea is still debated. There is now a sense that Hawking is tinkering, eventually but somehow marginally, at the end of his career, making thoughtful excursions into ideas largely conceived by others. He has more than earned the right to do that. It is far less clear that he has earned the right to pronounce on artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, or alien civilizations, let alone to prepare blah blah. I believe the simplest explanation is there is no God. No one created the universe and no one directs our fate. This leads me to a profound realization that there probably is no heaven and no afterlife either. We have this one life to appreciate the grand design of the universe, and for that I'm extremely grateful. Damn boy! Yeah, that's what I said. Like at the beginning, there was no time for space. I don't want to say. I started. I think it's too complex. I think computer viruses should count as life. I think it says something about human nature that the only form of life we have created is purely destructive. We have created life in our own image. Damn! I mean, we have also created computer programs, or artificial intelligence, like to make a robot behave or act. Yeah? Or you make a program like do this, do that, do that. It's not only viruses. But it's cool that we also create destructive. Reminds me of Matrix and Agent Smith saying virus. Find that. This one. I'm gonna get banned, man.
I'd like to share a revelation that I've had during my time here. It came to me when I tried to classify your species. I realized that you're not actually mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environment, but you humans do not. You move to an area and you multiply and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. And the only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure.
That's a very misanthropist vision. In some ways, it's true. We don't know how to the resources. My goal is simple. It is a complete understanding of the universe, why it is as it is, and why it exists at all. Yeah. I don't know if I should read. This is a brief story time quotes. Let's see some of them. Humans are destructive virus, not always true. I know. But it's cool for the movie, for the quote, for that scene. It's very cool. Even if there is only one possible unified theory, is this just a set of rules and equations? What is it that breathes fire into the equation, universe for them to describe? The initial approach of science of construction and mathematical model cannot answer the question of why there should be a universe for the model to describe. Why does the universe go to all the bother of existing? It's very complex though. The universe doesn't allow perfection. Why is perfect? You said subjective. If time travel is possible, where are the tourists from the future? A well-known sentence, Tommy says, was Vernon Russell, once gave a public lecture on astronomy. He described how the Earth orbits around the Sun and how the Sun, in turn, orbits around the center of a vast collection of stars called our galaxy. At the end of the lecture, a little old lady at the back of the room got up and said, "What you have told us is rubbish. The world is really a flat plate support on the back of a giant tortoise." The scientist gave a superior smile before replying, "What is the tortoise standing on?" "You're very clever, young man, very clever," said the old lady, "but it talks us all the way down." Yeah. This is the problem with people that go against science. Not against science, but I don't want to use it as an insult, but their ignorance, as they don't understand how if we were a virus, Linux will not exist, among other things. And that's what I was saying, like, there are good computer things too. They're hiding far away, their Wi-Fi. Oh, you mean this one? Delay, damn delay. Yeah, like when you're discussing when someone that doesn't follow logical or reasoning rules and they are just spreading their beliefs without any support behind them, it's impossible to have a discussion, like, unless you accept some terms of, yeah, 1 + 1 is 2, and from that on 2 + 2 is 4, and from that on you can reach syllogisms, or like logical thinking, like Aristotle logic in general, and from that on you can discuss idea. But if you just come with God create everything and I say so and it okay, I think maybe I do more streams like this. Not very often, but maybe. Because I like talking about science, I like talking about this shit. Maybe another day I'll do it about another topic, maybe about climate change, or biology, or sociology, or politics, economic, I don't know. Mainly about science, but science applied to science. And this was very abstract because Stephen Hawking's work was very hard to understand. If you need like a very big, at least a base of knowledge, and from that you can understand. But if you have that base, it's very. I found there are some that are open to thought and send their... You mean these people you discuss about? Yeah. And there is a... I have here the Brave Stars plan. I want to read the prologue, at least. The first page. Let me see this. I didn't write or forgot the original edition of Brave Stars. That was done by Carl Sagan. Instead, I wrote a short piece titled Acknowledgement, in which I was advised to thank everyone. Okay. It's like, okay. What is the... Look. So in this book he starts with like the Greek, how the Greek explained the universe, the earth, Aristotle, Galileo, Ptolemy's. I mean, for this it's better to just watch or read this book. It's very cool, so I recommend it. Anything else we wanna watch? Any video? Anything? Archive.org. Okay, this is a very good question. For example, we have found books of like 2,000 years ago, paper, right? But for example, if you leave archive.org, like the servers, like the material, not the internet thing, the actual servers. I think if you leave them like decades, they will be corrupt or destroyed in like, I don't know how long, but I don't think they'll reach 100 years. So unless you make more servers, more hard drives, you copy them there and time to time, and that knowledge, all the internet, let's say all the internet, whatever, will disappear. If, for example, if someone comes to Earth in like 1,000 years, they will find anything. It will be all destroyed. All the hard drives, all the internet, all the information will be destroyed. So it will be like Alexander Labyrinth. Yeah, I know. A lot of books of great philosophers. Democritus and... Anyways. Brave Stephen Hawking, but many other scientists keep discovering things. So all I can say is be curious, read, very cool, good. I'm gonna leave here another video of this guy and I'm gonna end. So maybe I will play a video game later. But for now, that's it. And thank you, Nusue, Canseco, Toasty, Delgro, who else was he? Hamburger, everyone. Stopping by. And how do I do this? Boom, 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 boom.
From the primordial cloud of gas and cosmic dust, gravity forged the stars. Gravity connects star systems together in vast galaxies and steers them on their journey through unbounded space. The relentless flow of time has driven the evolution of the universe and created extraordinary wonders. Some galaxies form so close together that they're locked in a gravitational embrace. What a magnificent sight it would be. As it evolves, the universe passes through distinct eras. Vast ages whose beginnings and endings are marked by unique milestones. The births and deaths of its wonders.
We are the product of a grand evolutionary sequence, cosmic evolution, about which we are only occasionally aware.
Gravity is the great creator, the constructor of worlds. But gravity is also the destroyer, because it's relentless. When a star around 15 times the mass of our sun collapses, all the matter in its core is crushed into an infinite void of blackness known as a stellar mass black hole. The immense gravitational pull of these monsters can rip a star apart. They tear matter from its surface and drag it into orbit. This superheated matter spins around the mouth of the black hole, and great jets of radiation fire from the core. Although these jets can be seen across the cosmos, the core itself remains a mystery. Not even light can escape, so their interior is forever hidden from us. Throughout a star's life, there is a constant battle between energy pushing out and gravity pushing in. When it runs out of fuel, the star collapses and then explodes with the brightness of 1 billion suns. As the star is torn apart, it will fire out into space all the elements that it created in its life and death. These are new stars forming from the elements blown out by supernova explosions. New stars being born from the remains of dead ones. And it's from this universal process of death and rebirth that we emerged. Because it was in a nebula just like this, 5 billion years ago, that our sun was formed. Clouds of hydrogen collapse further and further under the force of gravity, and the life cycle of a new star has begun. A star was born that would come to be known as the Sun. Around it, a network of planets formed. Among them was the Earth. Debris left over from the formation of the solar system collides with the Earth. Earth began life as a molten hell.
The early continents were still forming. The land was dominated by volcanoes, hostile and lifeless. But deep in the oceans, life had begun. The latest theory is that chemicals spewing from underwater volcanic vents solidified and created the conditions needed for the first cells to form.
For some 3 billion years, simple microscopic organisms were the most advanced form of life on the planet. Cyanobacteria and other oxygen-producing microbes began to bloom.
These flourished in colonies of plant-like microbes that pumped out enormous volumes of oxygen. And it was this increase in oxygen that was the key to the rise of the animal kingdom.
Organisms started using oxygen to respire, yielding a lot more energy, which allowed the development of more complex life.
Just before complex life appeared, the world was in the grip of the biggest ice age in its entire history.
And then suddenly, advanced organisms appeared.